I'm writing a paper right now, and so I want to answer. Usually, I make YouTube videos by turning on my camera and just talking. So right now, I can't decipher the answer to this question, and it's a personal testimony. So I'm just gonna talk about it on here in this format and see if it helps me convey my feelings because it's in a more bunched up format that I'm more comfortable speaking in. The question is, what's the most important thing you've learned in life thus far? Another way to interpret this question is, where have you had the most pain? Because usually where you've had the most pain is also where you've had the most growth. There's no light without dark. There's always an equal and opposite force. So whenever you go through some really tough shit, just remember that there's some really good shit on the other side. And I think the toughest thing, whether it was the toughest or not, it felt the toughest to me, which was when I was in seventh to ninth grade. These were tough years for me because a lot of it was hormonal and I had a ton of self-doubt. And the way it expressed itself, well, it only was exacerbated because I moved, because I'm a military kid. So I moved to Okinawa, Japan, and I really feel like being taken out of the environment I was in prior, where I was extremely confident because for whatever reason, I don't know, I just exuded confidence in that environment. It was fifth and sixth grade. I was confident as shit, and I was pretty authentic, and I was very happy. And then I moved to Japan. And as soon as I moved to Japan, cool, whatever. It's a new place. It was Japan. It was big. It was scary. And that's all normal. I had moved a bunch of times. What shifted was my confidence. When I moved there, I don't know if it was the age, puberty. I was just so dominated by other people's thoughts and alleged perceptions of who I was. So when I walked into school, I just remember thinking all the time what the people around me were thinking about me. That's all I thought about. All I cared about was, what do people think about this? What do people think about this? What do people think about blah, 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 blah. It literally was the driving force behind every single thing that I did. I don't know if this is relatable for when you were that age, but I think a lot of things are dependent upon the environment you're in. And so one thing I found was that being insecure only made insecurity worse. When you're insecure, people will take advantage of that, especially in that age group. So I moved to Japan and I was around some kids who, they'd make fun of me, and that's cool. That's fine. I'm not unthankful of that, because if I was not made fun of, I'd be a completely different, weak individual. So I remember I was on this basketball team, bunch of kids, which, I might have been ostracized slightly because I was white. There were very few white kids on this basketball team, and I wasn't as good as them at basketball. Another insecurity, the way I attacked that insecurity, bro, I practiced 3 to 5 hours of basketball every day, and I was lucky enough to have a mentor and coach to help me through that. But that's how I learned to attack problems, was if I had an insecurity or a weakness, I attacked it. And when these kids were making fun of me for being shitty at basketball, being slow, being white, being unfunny, whatever it was, I really took this shit to heart, and it beat down my confidence hardcore. And I attached myself and my identity to something. I attached it to my friends. I wanted to be someone in these other people's eyes. And that ate away at me, bro. Crying, a bunch of bullshit. And that was mainly 7th grade. And then in 8th grade, I kind of got some better friends. So I upgraded friends, and they were more like me. We played a lot of video games. I wasn't in that same basketball group anymore, and I really fit in with these guys. However, things started to change in my body as well. So I started getting acne. That was the main thing. That was my big insecurity, was acne. And I felt like I had it way more than everyone else. But 8th grade was really just the beginning of the acne journey, and it just added another layer. Although I found this new group of friends, now I had a new obsession, acne. So now I go into school. What is everyone thinking about my acne? Boom, 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 boom. I approach it the same way. I'm going to attack this problem in every way possible. I'm going to go on extreme diets. I tried a 3-day apple cleanse. Only 8 apples. Didn't fucking work. I obsessed over the face wash I used. I obsessed over looking for the next thing that might help my skin. None of it worked, but that's how I put myself through problems, and that's how I tried to solve them, was just obsess, obsess, obsess. And so I had these new friends, and I'm forever thankful of this, but I'm going to just say it how it is. We talked a lot of shit, you know? On the game, we would get on there and they would attack me because I was insecure. I had just been that way since I moved to Japan. I was just, every time you move, you form a new identity. And whenever I moved into a new environment, that's the cool thing about moving into a new environment, by the way. You form a new identity and you can almost choose that identity. When I moved to Japan, started the insecure little pussy identity who just hated himself. And then when I got with these new friends, I'll get around to the point. We would get on video games and they were awesome. I knew we were good friends. We had great times, but it was another era where they would just talk so much shit. And I'm so glad they did. I'll get to that. But I took everything they said to heart. Just my ego. I was so attached to my ego is what I've realized. That everything they said to me so deeply hurt my feelings when it's so obvious that they're kidding. You know when dudes make dumbass jokes that are so obviously not attacking your personal character, it's literally just for fun. And the biggest thing I learned from that was that as long as you exude the confidence, those things don't work. They only attack your insecurity. So being insecure only is going to make you more insecure. And so for a little bit, I had to kind of not walk the walk. What is it? I had to pretend that I was confident. I had to fake it a little bit. And when you do something reluctantly, when you act against your ego reluctantly for a few times, so for instance, they'd make fun of me, I wouldn't get mad, I'd start acting confident. And then things started to shift, and I wasn't the target all the time. Because although I was faking it, I took that limelight off of myself through just forcing myself into it. And I realized, holy shit, this confidence thing really works. So I won over that friend group. And not that it was a competition, but I found myself in that group. The next phase is when I had to move back to America. New environment, new identity. I feel like I was afraid from the last time. And the other thing that made this worse was my acne was so much fucking worse. This was peak acne at this time. So I moved there, and again, every time I walked into that fucking school, it was, what are these people thinking about me? What do they think about every aspect of me? And it just, again, it ate away at my fucking soul when I walked in that school, man. That was the worst. Had to have been my sophomore year and first year back in America. I struggled, dude. And it was my acne was a main thing behind it. I thought, once I get rid of the acne, I'm going to be a whole different person. And so the obsession, again, how do I get rid of acne? How? I cried about it. I just thought, okay, fine. Once I get rid of the acne, it's all going to be okay. And so I made a contract with myself to be unhappy until the acne was gone. And it didn't go away for a long time. So I hated myself for way too fucking long. And same sort of cycle. I was made fun of a lot, and I'm thankful for that. Completely thankful for all of the being made fun of. I don't have any grief towards anyone who's made fun of me. I actually am so fucking glad that people made fun of me, because I'm so resilient and so patient after that. Now I'm getting to the main theme behind all of this. So the biggest thing in life for me was my acne, and I thought once I tackle this, it's all going to be good. Settled into a friend group towards the second half of the 1 year I had in this location before moving again. Kind of found a good little friend group, but still acne prevailed. But despite that, my personality was coming out with this new friend group. Slowly but surely, I was kind of coming out of my shell, and I felt the happiness in there. I knew it was in there, and I was on the journey. I got on Accutane. Accutane, very harsh medication, takes 4 to 6 months, but it generally eradicates your acne. It's very harsh though. So I knew that it was going to be worse than it was. My acne got so much worse. I was way more self-conscious. But then after about 5 months, dude, acne was fucking gone. And from that point, when I saw my skin clear, I really did fucking change. I'm realizing that now. I mean, yeah, that was what changed me. I got rid of the acne and I was Liam. I was finally Liam again once I got rid of my fucking acne. And looking back, it's so dumb that I had to go through that. And I question whether that was required or if I could have just accepted who I was. Yeah, I could. But I'm still attached to it, just the amount of confidence I gained with getting rid of the shit on my face. I mean, still I get some, but like, bro, I don't give a fuck. I look good, you know? And I just came into my own. And whether I had to come into my own after getting rid of acne or I could have done it before, what made me happy was coming into my own. If I didn't do that through whatever means possible, I'd be fucking miserable. You have to be yourself. I started telling the jokes I wanted to tell. I started not giving a fuck what people thought of me. I started walking around with my head held high. I didn't give a shit anymore. People loved me more. People gravitated towards me because people love authenticity and you can sense it. That's the main thing. Authenticity. You can feel it. Stop hiding behind insecurities and be yourself. So when you're presented with, for instance, an insecurity, which is the wall between you and that authenticity, happiness, fulfillment, gratitude, whatever, that wall, you have 3 options to get around that wall. You can either accept the wall and therefore go around it. You can break the wall, which I did. I got rid of the acne. So you can accept it, change it, or sometimes you can stop doing whatever that is. And so however way you get there, on the other side of this wall, which the easiest thing would be to accept it because people will love you despite whatever you're worried about. People will love you way more if you have this authenticity. Once you get around that wall, through the wall, whatever, on the other side of that is a real person. And the way you beat competition is through authenticity. And right now in this day and age, there's so little of it that you can stand out like a golden angel in a crowd if you actually be that person who's deep down inside. Step aside from your insecurities and be that fucking person, because I'm so glad that I got made fun of. I'm so glad of all of that. I'm so thankful for all of that because now I'm resilient, now I'm patient, and there's no light without dark. If you go through your life stagnant and you don't go through that hard shit like I did, getting made fun of and just crying about who I was for no fucking reason, then you don't get the qualities that come with getting through that. You're robbed of these awesome qualities: resilience, patience, confidence, all of that. But be authentic.